There are streets in America that never make the news. Streets where the paint is peeling, where factories have closed, where families survive quietly behind old curtains, where dreams do not die loudly. They fade slowly. One unpaid bill, one empty factory, one forgotten promise at a time. But on one street, in one forgotten town, a few broken people were about to remind a whole country what home really means. That street was called Maple Street, and every morning, before the rest of the town opened its eyes, one man still believed it was worth honoring. Mr. Henry Davis was 78 years old. His knees hurt. His hands shook. His hearing was not what it used to be. But every morning, rain or shine, winter or summer, he stepped onto his porch and raised the American flag. The flag was old now. The red had faded. The white was no longer white. The edges were torn by years of wind and weather. But Mr. Davis treated it like it was brand new, like it still carried every promise he once believed in. Morning, old friend. He had served in Vietnam. He had come home to a country that did not know how to welcome him. But Maple Street had welcomed him. This street had given him a wife, a son, a porch, a reason to get up every morning. So every morning he raised the flag, even when nobody was watching. Across the street lived Grace Walker, 38 years old, former United States Army medic, single mother, daughter of a soldier, and a woman who had learned to keep standing, even when life tried to put her on her knees. Grace worked mornings at a diner, nights cleaning offices, and in between, she raised her 10-year-old son, Tommy, in the same house her father had built after coming home from war. Mom, go back to sleep, baby. Are we still going to be okay? We're walkers. We bend. We don't break. But when Grace turned away, her smile disappeared. Because the truth was simple. She was tired. The house payment was late. The electricity bill was waiting. And every day, the world asked her to be strong before it asked if she was okay. Grace walked to work before sunrise because the car needed repairs she could not afford. She wore her old army jacket because it was warm, but also because it reminded her of the woman she used to be. A woman who ran toward danger. A woman who saved lives. A woman who believed duty meant never leaving people behind. But coming home had taught Grace something war never did. Sometimes, the people who need saving are the ones standing quietly beside you. Sometimes they are your neighbors, sometimes they are your children, and sometimes they are yourself. That morning, Grace saw him for the first time. A teenage boy in a dirty hoodie, bruised face, angry eyes. The kind of boy people crossed the street to avoid. His name was Eli Brooks. 16 years old, no father at home, no mother strong enough to stay, no safe place to sleep. Eli had learned early that people leave. So before anyone could abandon him, he pushed them away first. You hungry? I don't need charity. Good, because this is breakfast. What do you want? For you not to pass out behind my diner. He did not say thank you. Grace did not ask him to. Some people need food before they can remember manners. Some people need kindness before they can trust it. After that morning, Eli started appearing around Maple Street, sometimes near the corner store, sometimes behind the old factory, sometimes sitting on the curb like he was waiting for something he did not believe would come. The neighbors did not trust him. They saw trouble. Grace saw pain. Tommy saw something else completely. Hey, you're the kid from the diner. I'm not a kid. You look like someone from a movie. What kind of movie? The kind where the bad guy becomes good at the end. You don't know me. Not yet. For reasons Eli could not explain, those 2 words stayed with him. Not yet. Not fear. Not judgment. Not rejection. Just possibility. 3 weeks later, Maple Street woke up to red paper on every door. The kind of paper that changes lives without looking anyone in the eye. The notice said, relocation. It said, demolition. It said, redevelopment. But what it really meant was this: leave. Your memories are in the way. What is this? They're tearing us down. Who said they could? Ladies and gentlemen, this neighborhood has been selected for redevelopment. You will be relocated. Relocated where? Suitable housing will be discussed. Discussed? You put demolition papers on people's doors before you even know where they're going. Mrs. Walker, progress requires sacrifice. No, greed requires sacrifice. Progress builds people up. Emotion does not change paperwork. The mayor smiled like a man who had never lost anything he could not replace. But Grace looked around Maple Street and saw what he could not. She saw homes. She saw history. She saw people who had already sacrificed enough. That night, Maple Street was quiet in a way Grace had never heard before. Not peaceful, defeated. People stood behind curtains. Lights stayed on late. Mothers whispered. Old men stared at walls. And Mr. Davis sat on his porch, holding the flag he had raised every morning for years. Henry, are you okay? My wife died in that house. My son took his first steps in that hallway. I came back from Vietnam broken, Grace. This street put me back together. We're going to find a way. They say it's just property, but people who say that usually have never lost a home. Henry, I can't take this. When a country forgets people like us, somebody has to remind it. Grace looked down at the flag. Old, faded, scarred, still standing. And for the first time since the notices arrived, Grace was not afraid. She was angry. And sometimes anger, when it is guided by love, becomes courage. The next morning, Grace started knocking on doors. One by one, Maple Street opened. People brought old photographs, military records, birth certificates, newspaper clippings, letters from sons who never came home, receipts from houses built after the war, proof that Maple Street was not just land, it was legacy. We need dates, records, names, anything that proves this street matters. You really think they'll listen? No, I think we're going to make them listen. Papers won't be enough. What do you mean? People don't read documents. They watch stories, then tell ours. Eli looked at her like nobody had ever trusted him with anything important before. Because maybe nobody had. Eli worked through the night. He took every photograph, every shaky phone video, every memory people trusted him with, and he turned them into something the world could not ignore. This is Maple Street. They call it broken. We call it home. They see old houses. We see fathers who came back from war and built something with their hands. They see cracked sidewalks. We see children learning to ride bicycles. They see land. We see lives. If America is a home, why are they kicking us out? Eli titled the video, "The Last Flag on Maple Street." Then he posted it. At first, nothing happened. 10 views, 20, 100. Then a veteran group shared it. Then a teacher. Then a reporter. Then a mother in another state who said Maple Street looked like her street too. By morning, the video had 1 million views. By evening, the whole country knew the name Maple Street. For the first time in years, cameras came to Maple Street. Not for crime, not for tragedy, but because people were finally listening. Veterans arrived in uniform. Families from other neighborhoods brought food. Letters came from across the country. Some came with money. Some came with photographs. Some came with flags. Old flags, new flags, flags folded in boxes, flags that had covered coffins, flags that had flown outside homes, where people still believed America could be better than this. Mrs. Walker, what do you want the country to understand? That poor does not mean worthless. Forgotten does not mean gone. And home is not something powerful people should be allowed to erase. Mayor Whitman had expected Maple Street to leave quietly. Poor people usually did. That was what men like him counted on. They counted on exhaustion, on shame, on people being too tired to fight. But Grace Walker had made the mistake of refusing to disappear. And now the mayor needed to make her look unstable. Find out everything about Grace Walker. Sir, everybody has a weakness. The attack came 2 days before the final city hearing. A leaked file, a whispered accusation, a headline designed to wound. Grace Walker, former Army medic, had suffered trauma after deployment. Suddenly, the woman who had saved lives was being asked to prove she was stable enough to save her street. Mrs. Walker, is it true you were treated for trauma after military deployment? Are you emotionally fit to lead this campaign? Do you believe your military trauma is influencing your judgment? Back up. Leave her alone. Grace had faced gunfire. She had treated soldiers under impossible conditions. She had carried memories most people could not survive. But standing in front of her own house, with cameras pointed at her pain, she almost broke. That night, the house was silent. Tommy was asleep. The street outside was still, and Grace sat in the dark with the flag in front of her, wondering if courage had finally cost too much. Tommy's asleep. You saved people in the war, right? Not all of them. There was a boy, about your age. I tried. I really tried, but I couldn't save him. People like me don't get many people who try. You tried for him. You tried for me. Now try for this street. Grace looked at Eli and saw something she had almost forgotten. Not the boy she could not save. The boy still sitting in front of her. The boy who still had a chance. And sometimes, one life still standing is enough reason to stand up again. The next morning, City Hall was full. Not with politicians, not with developers, but with people. Veterans in uniform, mothers holding photographs, children holding handmade signs, old men wearing medals they had not touched in years. And at the center of them all stood Grace Walker. She wore her old army jacket, not to ask for sympathy, but to remind them that service does not end when the uniform comes off. Mrs. Walker, you may speak. I went to war wearing this country's flag on my shoulder. When I came home, I felt the hardest battle was behind me, but I learned something. Sometimes the battle is not overseas. Sometimes it is right here, when ordinary people have to prove they matter. You call this redevelopment, but these are not empty buildings. These are homes. Mr. Davis came back from Vietnam and rebuilt his life here. My father came home from war and built our house with his own hands. Children took their first steps here. Mothers buried husbands here. Families survived here. You can tear down houses, but when you tear down the last place people belong, do not call it progress. Call it abandonment. Then Eli Brooks stepped forward. The boy nobody trusted. The boy everyone had already judged. The boy who had spent his life believing there was no place for him. I stole from people on Maple Street. I broke windows. I painted walls. I made people afraid of me because I was tired of being afraid first. I thought this country had no place for people like me. Then this street gave me one. No one spoke, because sometimes truth does not need to be loud. Sometimes it only needs to be brave. Mr. Davis stood slowly. His hands trembled. His body was weak, but the room felt him rise. He unfolded the flag he had raised every morning for years. The faded flag, the torn flag. The flag that had survived storms, wars, grief, and time. One by one the veterans stood. Then the families. Then the reporters lowered their cameras. Then, finally, the council stood too. For one moment, Maple Street was not forgotten. For one moment, everyone saw it, not as land, not as property, as home. All in favor of suspending the demolition order pending historic review. Motion passed. They did not win because they were rich. They did not win because they were powerful. They won because they stood together long enough for the world to finally see them. And sometimes, being seen is the beginning of being saved. Months later, Maple Street still had cracks in the sidewalks. The houses were not perfect. The factory still needed work. But the street was alive. Fresh paint appeared on old porches. Children played outside again. Neighbors planted gardens. Veterans sat in the sun. And the old factory became something new. The Walker Davis Community House, named for Grace's father, and for Mr. Henry Davis, two men who had come home from war and built something worth protecting. Eli says he's not the bad guy anymore. I said, I'm working on it. That's all any of us are doing. One morning, Mr. Davis stepped onto his porch again, but this time his hands were too weak. The flag felt heavier than before. Not because of the cloth, because of the years. Grace saw him first, then Eli, then Tommy, and soon the whole street was standing with him. It's beautiful. Most things are after they survive. And on Maple Street, the flag still rose. Not because the street was perfect, not because the people had no scars, but because the people beneath it refused to disappear. They had learned that home is not where life is easy. Home is where people refuse to give up on each other. This was Maple Street, forgotten once, but never again. Thank you for watching this Dustline story. With the help of artificial intelligence, we are bringing powerful visual stories to life, one scene at a time. Your support is what helps Dustline grow. So please subscribe, follow our channel, like this video, and share it with someone who believes in meaningful stories. The more you support Dustline, the more stories we can create and bring to the world. This is Dustline, where stories rise from the dust.